Naoko's death and Watanabe's despair, just as Watanabe had begun to imagine a new future with Naoko, a fragile dream of healing and redemption. He received news that shattered his world. Naoko had taken her own life. The message struck him with a force he could neither prepare for nor comprehend, like lightning from a clear sky. He found himself rooted to the spot, unable to process the meaning of those words. The notion that Naoko, whose life had been marked by delicate hope and haunting despair, was gone forever seemed impossible, unreal. He wanted to reject the truth of it, to turn back to some version of reality where she still existed. In the days that followed, grief consumed him, leaving him lost in a haze of disbelief and bitterness. He replayed their memories together over and over in his mind, searching desperately for signs he might have missed, ways he could have helped her, or words he could have said to change her path. Self-reproach filled his heart, an all-encompassing guilt that felt as if it would break him. Had he failed her? Had he, in all his good intentions, somehow only deepened her suffering? Naoko had spoken of her inner shadows, the ones she could never quite banish. And now Watanabe was haunted by the thought that he hadn't truly understood the depth of her pain, or worse, that he had failed to be the anchor she had needed. Kazuki's shadow seemed to hang between them even now, as if his presence had woven itself into Naoko's very being, a constant reminder of what they could never have back. Watanabe understood that Naoko had never fully moved beyond Kazuki's death, that his absence had marked her with an unshakable sorrow. But he had hoped, perhaps selfishly, that he could offer her an escape, that his love and dedication might someday help her find peace. The realization that she had ultimately succumbed to the same darkness Kazuki had faced filled Watanabe with despair. Naoko's death left Watanabe in a state of profound, unrelenting solitude. He found himself unable to connect with anyone or anything, lost in the depths of an emotion he could neither name nor escape. Everything around him felt muted, drained of color and meaning. His interactions with friends became hollow, empty gestures, and the routines of daily life felt absurd, distant. He struggled to imagine any kind of future that did not include her, any life that might still hold meaning. In the face of this despair, Watanabe sought refuge in aimless wandering. He withdrew from university, disconnected himself from friends, and began drifting from place to place, without any destination or purpose. The quiet, lonely corners of unfamiliar towns and the anonymity of crowded cities seemed to hold some promise of relief. He wandered through streets lined with strangers, hoping that the change of scenery, the faces of people who knew nothing of him or his pain, might somehow lighten the weight in his heart. But his grief followed him wherever he went, a constant shadow that refused to dissipate, a reminder of the woman he had loved and lost. Watanabe's days blurred together in a fog of sadness and isolation. He would wake up in a city, unsure of how he had arrived or what had driven him to choose that place. Nights became endless, filled with thoughts of Naoko, memories of their time together that clung to him, refusing to let him go. He thought of her voice, soft and hesitant, telling him her fears and insecurities, her fragile dreams and her heartbreak. Every recollection was a reminder of his inability to save her, a painful echo of her absence that seemed to resonate with every heartbeat. In those quiet, desolate hours, Watanabe found himself grappling with questions that offered no answers. He wondered if he had ever truly known Naoko, if the person he had loved was someone she could never fully be, bound as she was to the memories of Kazuki and the sorrow that had permeated her life. He thought of the last moments he had spent with her, the silences they had shared, and the rare times when she had opened up, revealing glimpses of the battles she was fighting. He felt helpless in the face of her memory, burdened by a sense of responsibility that he could not shake. He had once believed that he could offer her an escape, a chance at happiness and healing. But now, as he wandered through empty streets and nameless towns, he realized the extent of his own limitations. Naoko's pain had been deeper and darker than he had understood, and the weight of that knowledge pressed down on him, making it difficult to breathe, difficult to think of anything beyond his own failure to protect her. The future felt impossibly distant, a path he could not envision himself walking alone.